So I'm Rachel Barber with the Auglaize County Historical Society, and we're here today at the Board of Developmental Disabilities on March the 31st. And our first interview will introduce himself. And why don't you, after you introduce yourself, give us a sense of your connection with the Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Okay, my name is Dennis Burnell, and I actually have a couple connections. First, my daughter was in the program from age 2 until she passed, and then for over 30 years. And then I was also a member of the Auglaize County Board Industries workshop. I was on the board there, and then I was on the board here at the MRDD program, and a past board president.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you were explaining before we started recording that the workshop was separated away from the board.
Yeah, it was part of the MRDD board, and then they had the option a few years ago to go private, and which most did. And so we still are affiliated in probably an unofficial way, because we still have clients that come over there to do work that are part of this program, and so we do still talk to some of the SSAs and folks over here when we need to, but it's just because we're separated doesn't mean we aren't communicating, and we communicate with them quite often.
So I saw that you live in New Bremen now. Have you always lived in New Bremen?
I lived in New Bremen. We moved here in 1977.
So was your daughter born then? Or?
In 1982, Emily was born. Actually, April 4th. I'm sorry, yeah, April 4th, and this year would be her. She would have been 40 years old. So.
What kind of services did the Board of Developmental Disabilities provide for your daughter?
Well, after about a year and a half, we knew something wasn't right. She was a preemie. She weighed 3.5 pounds, and so we knew something wasn't right. And so they were trying to get us some programs in Fort Wayne and Cincinnati. And this is the doctors. And so I contacted our family doctor, and I said, I don't want to go that far. And we're not. Emily's going to be with us at home, and we don't want to be traveling all over the place or anything closer. And he said, yeah, in New Bremen. And I knew that the MRDD board was here, but I had no idea that they started servicing children as early as 18 months, I think. Emily started when she was 2. So that's how we started here. Mm-hmm. And
so what did they provide her when she was 2?
It was called infant STEM, and then they would just stimulate her so that she would respond to different things, touch, feel, hearing, sight, and we would bring her over here. Actually, the infant STEM teacher would come to our house, which we live in town here. She would come to the house and pick my wife and my daughter up and go to Walpock, one of the churches up there. And then as the program developed, and those programs then were housed here, and once we expanded the building and stuff. So.
And how did the services change as Emily became older?
She was an infant STEM till she was like 5 or something like that, and then she was in a classroom here. And probably when she was maybe 4th grade, 10 years old, something like that, then she went to the county programs. That there were units at different schools, and her unit was at St. Joe in Wapak.
Mm.
And so she went up there, and then later to the elementary school on that end of town. I forget the name of it, West or whatever elementary that is in Wapakoneta.
You mean Northridge, maybe?
Northridge, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ended up at the high school, and then when she was 18, we would have her go to the industries in the summertime, 3 days a week, something like that, and which a lot of her friends did the same thing. And then when she turned 21, then she stayed at the industries then full time.
Mm-hmm. Did she enjoy going to the school?
She always would giggle when she was happy, and yeah, she would recognize her friends and and respond that way. She was nonverbal, but you could tell by how she acted and that yeah, she enjoyed her time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when she was at the industries, what sort of work assignments did she have?
Well, she was nonverbal, and she was in a wheelchair, so there was not a whole lot of work that she could do. So she was in the classroom over there. They called it adult activity. Would take her out on the floor a couple hours a week, and with a job coach or a supervisor, then they would do hand over hand jobs, just like maybe putting a bag under a sealer, a heat sealer, and then take her hand and hit the switch that would activate the heat sealer. You had to kind of watch her, because if she could hit that, she would be able to hit the switch, but she was so quick, she might get her hand in the sealer, instead of the switch. So they had to kind of watch her, It's very, very quick with her hands. So, but she most of the time was in adult activity and did skills and things like that, did community trips, things like that.
So how would you say that her time, the services provided by the Board of Developmental Disabilities, how did they affect her life at home with you and your family life?
Well, the number of people, parents and kids, I call them kids, I still call my adult children kids, the amount of friendships that we developed over the years is still long lasting today. It opened up a lot of avenues for to help other people, to suggest other people about programs and things, to educate people on what really goes on over here. A lot of people in New Bremen didn't even realize what would go on over here. But Emily was always with us when we went shopping, went to church, went to ball games. So, and they would ask us a lot of times, how's Emily doing? Oh, good. She's, here, she's there, and so I think that helped promote the program here. But the friendships over the years, and one thing you realize with kids, adults with disabilities, they always seem happy, and it kind of wakes you up sometimes when we are supposed to be normal and we are down in the dumps and we're blue. If you're around kids with disabilities and adults with disabilities, it kind of wakes you up, and but it's a very, very good program, and sure happy that our daughter was in the program.
Mm-hmm. So based upon your experience as a parent, as board member, volunteer, all of that, what do you want the people of Auglaize County to know about the Board of Developmental Disabilities that they might not know?
Well, they are here to assist families with not only children or adults that have disability, but I've known many children who have had maybe a speech delay or a physical delay of some kind, and they would come over here to the infant STEM or kindergarten class, and they get caught up, and then go to regular school. Then when they would get caught up, they would just be a little bit behind. Emily's sister would come over in the summertime into the classroom as a role model, and because they watch you, they don't miss a beat. They watch every move you make, and so consequently, Emily's sister is an intervention teacher now, and
and what is her name?
Molly. And
is she around here?
She lives in St. Henry, teaches at Waynesfield. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just many different services than what you would expect.
And how did you see those services change over the years since you've been affiliated so long?
Well, we were pretty limited, I think, especially when I got on the board. I didn't really realize until I got on the board, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. We have these opportunities out there for Emily, but the board doesn't provide those for the parents, and it was not only was it financially stressing sometimes for taking a therapist and things like that, but time-wise too. Therapist, we were taking Emily to Lima twice a week, and I taught school, and so I was out of school at 3:00, so we'd always get the late appointment, but it meant loading everybody up, all the other two kids, and going up there to occupational physical therapy in Lima, and it just those were things that then slowly the board would have started providing those services. I think once parents were kind of afraid to speak up, and then once we had some parents on the board that said, why aren't we providing these services for the parents? And it wasn't just for me, it was for all of them, different services. Those are just two services that I can remember. Then we started having therapists come in here to the school twice a week. I remember the first therapist was from Toledo. He drove all the way down here. So we started providing those services, and then other. I'm not sure if not at the time I was on the board did we physically hire a therapist to house here. We always was from the outside, but we really started providing those services, which you wonder why kids would need a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, but when your kids have delays, we as parents would work on those at home, but we needed instruction from the therapist, exactly how do we go about this. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing was patience, and to be patient with my daughter, and so that all works together to make things blow.
Did you tell us how long you were on the board then?
I was thinking about that a little bit ago. I think I was on the board 8 years. My position was appointed by the county judge, and I believe it was at least 8. I don't know if it was 12 or not. But then, like I said, I was vice president for a couple of years and then president. And so we just, it was something, somebody brought it up to me about serving on the board, and I thought, how do you do that? I didn't have any idea how, and some positions are appointed, and some are by a judge, and some are appointed by the commissioners, and that. So, and then you got into the finances and how you were going to pay for things.
So is there anything you'd like to add to conclude the interview?
Just that throughout Emily's life, we had some family issues. My wife passed away about a year before, about 15 years before Emily did. So we had Emily at home, and my wife was like her caregiver. She was a teacher, and she retired from teaching early to take care of Emily. And then when she passed, then Amanda Siegel was our SSA, and she was super.
What is SSA?
It's a super. It's like a. I always say it's like a caseworker. Okay. This is the easiest way to explain it, but they help you with your needs and your wants and things like that. But she was very good at getting Emily eventually into the group home that the county board used to have, and then eventually into a private home with her friends. That's how they eliminated the group homes, and then people would buy houses and then which they do today.
So she was at the group home that was up at the county home?
Mm-hmm. It was adjacent to the county home. Mm-hmm. And then people started, and that was part of when I was on the board, trying to get, have this idea of people buying houses and then offering, it was like a rental, for the clients, and then the clients would have a provider that would stay with them and make sure that they were taken care of. In Emily's case, it was 24/7. Mm-hmm. Some of the clients, can do a lot of things themselves, but they have to be directed.
But that must have been very different for you when she moved out of the house.
Yeah, Amanda wanted us to do that for a long time, and we were not going to do that. And then when my wife got sick, I had no choice. I couldn't take care of both of them. And but Amanda was very good in helping me and to get her there. And I said, I don't know if I can do this. And she said, well, it's like your kids. Your other 2 kids are in college, and eventually they'll have their own house. So it's like Emily. She's moving out at, she was probably 25 or 26 when she went to the group home. So it's just like Emily getting an apartment. And so once Amanda brought that up to me that way, then that helped me understand it. Yeah. And of course I could go up any time, and with her schedule and things that she had to do. But she had a sweet tooth, so every time Dad would go up, he'd bring a hot fudge sundae. So, yeah, but it was very, very good experience. We probably would have survived without Ogley's MRDD board, but it sure made it a lot better. So, but I would encourage people who, even if you don't, it used to be a stereotype to come here, and so it's not that anymore. And if you think that your child or grandchild or friend or relative can benefit from coming to an MRD program, even if it's just to find out that they could go here or go there. It doesn't mean that they're in the program for life. Their goal is to try to get the folks out of the program and into the community. And many of our kids have done that. And like again, I call them all kids, even though they're adults. So.
Okay. Anything else you want to say before we conclude?
No, I'm happy that MRDD, Ogley's MRDD is in New Bremen. It seemed to be it's a good partnership, and beautiful settings right by the canal.
Great.
So.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yep.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for being interviewed.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep. Now this will be on the website.
I don't really